On you guys, Theo here with a big review, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video. I hope you all enjoyed your weekends. Today we are going to be taking a look at another guide video, this time pertaining to a subject that was brought up to me in the comment section by someone the other day who had asked me, what are the items that are worth getting in the exchange shop? So I figured that this was a guide that was worth making, and we're going to go through each individual shop in the exchange shop and talk about the different items that you should be picking up on a daily or weekly basis. But before we get into all that, make sure you guys, if you haven't already done so, smash that like button and subscribe. We did just hit 700 subscribers. Tomorrow I will be doing a formal announcement of the next giveaway, which I promised you guys once we hit that mark. Once we hit 800, we'll do another one, but tomorrow we will get into the details on how you guys can get your hands on a gift card, hopefully in time for what is coming here next with these updates with these streams tomorrow. But let's go ahead and get into the video. And today, like I said, we're going to be taking a look at the exchange shop, and we're going to go through each of these individually and talk about what you should be looking out for and the different items that are worth purchasing each day. So when it comes to these exchange shops, we're going to start here from the top and kind of work our way down. So that means we're going to start with the Hall of Elements. So the Hall of Elements is a little bit less straightforward compared to some of these other ones. This is going to be largely dependent upon what you need. So, for those of you who are not aware, you may see up there it says this refreshes in 7 days. Basically, this is going to refresh once a month, and it is going to have a random new batch of memories available for you guys each month. So, it's going to contain 5 Fest memories and then 5 Gold memories, each one of a different color. And basically what this boils down to is it's going to depend on who you need, what you need as far as memories go. Some people like to use this in order to get just generic memories so that they can use them for invitations and so on. For me personally, I like to save this currency because you don't build it up too quickly. I like to save this for things that I actually need. Unfortunately, you'll get to a point at a certain juncture where you're not going to have very many options as far as things that you necessarily need, at which point you can kind of start segueing into just picking these up for invitations at that point. But overall, it basically just comes down to what you need. And this one, being that it's random, there really is no right or wrong answer. It's going to be different for everyone, but my suggestion to you guys is to definitely take advantage of this when it refreshes. Make sure that you don't miss out on any potential memories you might need in here. That way you aren't kicking yourself later. So another kind of tidbit of information that I could throw in here, although I hate to invoke this and ruin the entire vibe of the video, but you could, if you wanted to, like for instance, if I wanted to, I could pick up the Lady Zero or the Nameless memory, because I am fully prepared for the fact that they're eventually going to blow it up and give us Awakening level 10. So if you want to get a jump on that down the road, you could do that, but I don't want to talk about that any more than I need to. So I'm just going to throw that in as a disclaimer and we'll move on. Now, going into the Guild Exchange shop. So in this shop, we talked about this one briefly the other day when we did our why it's important to be in a guild in 2021 video. In here you have some pretty decent options if you are a kind of intermediate player, I would say, someone who is still needing to awaken some of their characters that are at lower awakening tiers. Getting the XP capsules isn't a bad idea, although I've never partaken in that myself. I feel like as long as you are grinding Reviving Hell's Dungeon correctly, you're probably not going to need those too much. Things in here that are worth buying every day, in my opinion, however, are going to be these Plus Capsule Mystery Boxes. I feel like these are definitely worth it. I buy these every single day, which we'll do now. And basically, for those of you who have ever seen my giant stash of capsules and ask me how I keep that going, basically this is one way. It's definitely not the primary way I do that, but it does help. You can do that every day if you like. Other than that, if you want to, you can pick up the summon tickets rather. I find them to be a little steep personally. I would just stick with the capsules and then the XP capsules if you absolutely need them. But even then, my suggestion to you guys, being that this is kind of a weak shop overall, I don't feel like there's any other items in here that are necessary, but that's up to you guys at that point. But those are the ones that I would recommend every single day at minimum. Now, moving on here, we can talk about the Rite of Passage exchange shop, which is a little bit more interesting. because in here you're going to see some more premium items, and basically with this you're not going to get a whole lot of currency very quickly, so this is one that you're going to have to kind of save for if you're wanting any of these bigger ticket items. Luckily my suggestions are not going to include those. My suggestion to you guys on this shop is going to be every single day just pick up this one because it's cheap. The rest of these I don't necessarily think are going to be very worth it, because they do tend to get a little bit pricier for the amount of this currency that you're able to grind out. But it's largely going to be up to where you're at in the game at this point with this currency as far as how you spend it, because depending on if you are a beginner, intermediate, or veteran, you are going to have differing accesses to hammers. So therefore, for someone who's a veteran who is able to do things like Immortals every day or Guild Raid and so on and so forth, people who have the ability to do more of the end game content that is typically likely to give you more hammers more often, you may not need to do this. For somebody who is an intermediate that doesn't really have access to those things, you could take advantage of it in order to get some of these higher hammers. However, even then, it to me is going to be a better investment if you're an intermediate, at least, to go for some of these generic stone boxes, only because you're probably not going to, for the same reasons you don't have access to a lot of the hammers, have access to a lot of R stones from those same types of modes that we just mentioned. Therefore, I feel like getting started, eventually you're going to get rid of these. Luckily, these are stones that you can unpair. You can't do that with the R stones. So if you use these as an intermediate to get by for a little while, because you do get a very healthy boost to your CP on your characters to get through certain content, eventually you'll outgrow these. But you can take advantage if you like. I particularly, if I were you guys in an intermediate role and are trying to take advantage of that, I would go for this box here over the other two, only because this is going to be the one that is actually going to have, if I can find it here, it's this one here. This is going to have the square yellow plus imprint stone, which for people who don't have access to a lot of R stones and can't grind them very well, this is actually a very nice stone still. Now, like I said, the rest of these you're largely going to outgrow, but your mileage may vary. Those are things that I would recommend depending on where you're at. If you're a veteran, my opinion on this, you already have access to hammers at a pretty nice clip. I would just buy the capsule boxes, and I would buy that first hammer like I showed you guys, and save from there on this currency. But those are my suggestions depending on where you're at in the game. This one is largely dependent upon where your account is at, in my opinion. So moving on here, we're going to go to the Infinite Battle Exchange Shop. Now, in this one, you're basically going to see, this is a little bit different. Basically, once a month or so, it is going to give you these All-Star Summon tickets. I've already purchased these because it's been a little bit since this reset, but basically, for 400 of this currency per, you can get a full multi once a month. Definitely do that every month, in my opinion. Make sure that you are doing your Infinite Battle. It is very important because that is a very good source of free-to-play rubies. But other things in here that you should be looking at purchasing is going to be all of these items down here. So you're going to want these plus capsule mystery box, this AP, and this item summon ticket every day, in my opinion. They're cheap. You'll see that they are 10 and 15 respectively as far as the currency goes. Very, very cheap. You're not going to miss the currency. Pick those up every day. Each of those items is going to be nice. And then the other thing in here that you'll probably want to make sure that you purchase on a regular basis, because these refresh weekly, is going to be these memories here. You're probably never going to use them for the actual characters. However, being that you get this currency pretty easily, you'll replenish it pretty quickly, and you can use those down the road to make things for your other characters, like if you want to combine memories and so on and so forth. So it's a good way to get combined memories. And then, as you saw there, the purple souls as well. I like to pick those up. Those I feel like you can choose to pass on if you want to, but they're cheap enough to the point where each day I pick those up. But at the end of the day with this one, I would say that those three items below the top line, the plus mystery box for the capsules, and then the AP and the item summon ticket would be the big three to pick up every single day. And then with the memories for the Krauser and the Geese, I would do that every week as well, like I said, because you can use those for combinations for fest memories. And then those other two items, one will refresh monthly, pick that up definitely, because that's a unified banner multi. And then the Purple Souls are kind of largely up to you. So, moving on. We're going to go ahead and talk about the next one here, and that's going to be the Championship Coin Exchange. So with this one, I don't have a whole lot of this currency. As you see, I haven't even gotten IG, and I'm planning on doing that here soon. I just don't play Championship anymore, not since they took out rubies and so on and so forth, and I've never ever been able to get good connection in Championship to the point where it's almost unplayable. I actually have trouble even getting into games, so it depends on whose internet I'm on. But with this one, it depends on how much you play Championship, in my opinion. Honestly, a lot of this stuff is very high priced, so it really comes down to what you are doing with Championship on your account as it pertains to what you're going to purchase and pick up. I would say that definitely you'll want to get the IG at some point, for sure, just for the Codex entry, and then the Plus capsule selection boxes are a ×10. Those are pretty nice, but they're pretty pricey. The special album is actually a nice item to pick up. It's pretty cheap. And the AP is one that you'll definitely be picking up. From there, if you want to, you can actually do the Hexagon Core selection box also, because that is a ×10, and it's pretty cheap as well. So in here daily, honestly, if you're somebody that plays Championship on a daily basis, I would say the special album, the AP, and the core selection boxes are worth picking up daily, and from there the rest of this stuff is going to be stuff I would just kind of pass on or pick up as you go if you feel like you need those items. But the big three are going to be these last three here. So moving on from that one, we're going to get into Team Relay Exchange Shop, and this one's pretty interesting. So this one has one major item you're going to want to make sure that you purchase every week, and that is going to be this zero clone memory. Make sure that you do this. This refreshes weekly. This is very important. This is the best way that you can get a free fest memory for invitations. So you need to make sure that you're picking this up on a weekly basis. It's going to refresh every payday. Make sure that you get that. Beyond that, the rest of the stuff in here, I feel like you can largely pass on. If you don't already have his card or him himself, obviously pick those up. Beyond that, though, you don't really need to pick the rest of this stuff up. None of it's really that important. It's up to you on whether or not you want the Purple Souls or the AS Purple Souls. Personally, being that it's just one, I just pass on it. It's not that big of a deal. Those don't come up very often, so they're something that you don't largely have to worry about. But beyond that, if you haven't already gotten him, for instance, make sure that you do that. For instance, I like to pick this up if I've already got him, and this is up to you guys, but I like to pick this up because I actually get the additional memory on the souls. So depends on how much of this currency you have, but definitely do it if you can afford it. Because if you do that, like I said, and we're going to talk about the souls here in a minute, those are going to come in handy in a different shop we've talked about in the past, but we're going to reiterate today. But being that you get those souls and another memory, very nice. I'm already at a point just on this one payday to where I can almost get another purple invitation just from doing this. So make sure that you are doing that every single week. Now, the next thing here is going to be League Exchange Shop. In here you have some pretty interesting items. This one actually has some stuff that's pretty worth, I would say. So basically, these three items down here at the bottom, the auto clear tickets as well as the AP, pick all these up every single day. I do this every day, and these pile up pretty quick. You guys ever see my AP and how much of that I've got? I've got a ridiculous amount of AP. It's because of this. Being able to do these exchange shops every day, that's where you start building that up. Now, as far as anything else in here, I would not recommend necessarily picking up these skill rate up cards. You don't really need those. You can grind those in a far easier fashion and far quicker in other modes. With the battle card tickets, every once in a while I'll pick up the multi one. I never pick up the single ones. Every once in a while, if I've got enough of this currency to where it's not going to kind of be to my detriment to pick up my daily stuff, I'll pick that up. But otherwise, I would avoid the rest of this stuff and just pick up those three items I just pointed out each day. And then every once in a while, if you have enough currency to do it where you feel safe to, you can pick up the KOF Allstar Battle Card Summon ×10 tickets. Now, moving on from there, we're going to get to the big guy, and that is going to be the Soul Dust Exchange Shop. So one big thing that you're going to want to make sure that you always do on this, and my recommendation is to be sparing with your regular soul dust to an extent if you're a new player, because you're probably not pulling a whole lot. Eventually you're going to have a lot of it, but as a new player you're going to want to be sparing with it. But when it comes to anything in here that you're definitely going to want, you want these tokens. You want these tokens. These are your way to get free summons on the unified banner so that you can save your rubies. The way that you're going to do this, we've talked about this in the past. Use your soul quests to get your extra souls each day, like I did here with my Kula. Use the extra souls that you get from your summons and things like that, because in my opinion, you want to use your generic color souls to level your characters up and save your actual character souls for this. But go ahead, go to your salvage. Salvage these guys out. As you'll see there, I should have enough now with what I already had to pick up 2 of those tokens. So I can pick up 2 of those and do that as often as possible. Always try to grind these tokens. Try to at least get 2 of the 3 each day, if not all 3 if you can afford it, but that is very important. The rest of the items in here, not really all that important. However, this one here, if you want to, I do this every day. I pick up all of those. So that is something else that I like to do, but outside all that, the rest of these items I would pass on, but those I would definitely make sure that you guys get, that being the tokens and the AP. The rest of this stuff you can pretty much ignore. Like I said, if you're a new player, if you're a veteran, you probably got a ton of soul dust, but you probably use quite a bit of it to use your hammers and things like that to level those up, so you may want to be sparing as well with it. However, if you're not, then these tickets here are pretty nice, because you can use those to kind of make a stockpile of tickets for the unified banner, and so on and so forth. The card summon tokens come up sometimes, but honestly, being that this purple dust is tougher to attain, I would just stick with the unified banner ones for the summons for the fighters. So that is pretty much the currency exchange shops. Down here we can briefly talk about these. We've done this in the past. But basically, whenever you get all of these little items down here from doing your different Advent dungeons, you'll want to use them. They come in handy, whether people realize it or not. You're not just doing that for the items, you're actually doing it for this too. Pick up these memories, because these you can again use to craft your fest memories for your generic memories, and it's a good way to do that on a generic basis so that you don't have to throw away things that you might want, or summon for things so that you can get fodder, so on and so forth. And do that with all these if you have the currency. I've picked these up recently, so I don't have a bunch of these, but yeah, if you guys got a bunch of those and don't need these characters built up for whatever reason, because none of them are that important to anything in the game, and you can get by without building any of these guys up, then go ahead and pick those up. So hopefully that answers the question of what you should be purchasing on a daily and weekly basis. This stuff is pretty useful, like I said. So, you know, overall, those exchange shops are going to get you by in a big way on a lot of different currency. So when it comes to some of the different things that you're going to need to build up, that is definitely the way to go. Now, one other thing I'll throw in here for you guys is going to be in the secret shop. So this refreshes several times a day on some of these items. Avoid anything that's going to cost you rubies, but the things that you should always purchase first and foremost are going to be these hammers. Always pick up your hammers. Again, these are going to refresh, I think, every 2 to 3 hours. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. Somebody in the comment section can let us know. I think it's probably more like every 3 or 4, but again, I could be wrong. Pick up all of these core boxes. You're going to see several of these. They only cost you gold, so all these core boxes, always pick these up. These are going to, again, refresh several times a day. Always pick them up whenever you see them. I check this thing once I log in every few hours just to check things. Another thing to always purchase, the Hexagon Rainbow Cores. You can do 2 of those. They're a little pricey for gold, but they're worth it. Yeah, always pick all those up. Sometimes the photo album is in here too. I believe that only refreshes once a day. I think I purchased that last night at some point. But that photo album for your affinity also is in here for gold as well once a day, I believe. So pick that up also. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much going to be the different items that I would recommend to all of you guys to pick up in these different exchange shops. Definitely do this stuff every single day, every single week. In the case of the secret shop, do it multiple times a day. That is pretty much going to be the video, though, today, guys. We got a lot of work ahead of us tomorrow. I am going to be up bright and early to cover the Korean stream and hopefully get you guys plenty of footage from that. And then beyond that, we also have the global one, which I'm going to try and get a video up as soon as possible after that one ends with the codes for that, for the different things that they're going to be giving away on stream. It ought to be a pretty crazy day tomorrow. I'm also going to be launching the Discord probably tomorrow as well. You'll see that announced in one of the videos, and then like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we're also going to have a gift card giveaway that I need to announce tomorrow. So tomorrow's a big day. I'm going to get out of here so I can work on some other things and get some of this stuff prepared, but I will talk to you guys in all of that tomorrow. You enjoy your day, and I will see you all bright and early. Peace.